Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the sos-radio.com podcast. My name is Jason Nhyte, president and founder of Chicago's own Supernatural Occurrence Studies, and your host into the unknown. I'm here joined by my fellow SOSers and brothers in arms, Mr. Oscar Spector.
You forgot to say supernatural all the time, or whatever you said.
All paranormal.
All paranormal all the
time.
There you go.
How are you, Oscar?
I'm all right. It's weird because we're sitting in a different room. Joe, shut up, for fuck's sake.
We are. Yeah.
And but we're not facing each other. This is bizarre. I feel like I'm talking to the window.
We're sitting in my home office.
Yeah, this is weird.
I'm also joined by fellow SOSer.
Were you waiting for
Claire Sensitive, Mr. Joe Erie. Hello, Joe.
Oh, hey guys.
Someone should just sketch you into a cartoon right now.
He can even make a good cartoon. So this is a different episode for us once again. We are recording in the daylight. It's actually in the afternoon, almost 5 p.m.
They don't care what time it is.
June 25th, 2016.
Wow.
And this is the 18th episode
Give them a GPS location.
The SOS-Radio podcast. 18 episodes so far, guys. What do you think of that?
It's better than 17?
I think it's legal now.
Oscar, that rings really true to Oscar.
It really does.
We won't
Okay,
talk
I'm
about
just going to say it now. Okay, I won't say anything.
So I think, guys, in this episode... Oh, notice I did not say that Dave Black is here. Dave Black's not here.
No, he is.
He's actually...
in our heart.
He's always in our heart.
He's stuck in my colon, actually. Yeah. He's giving me irritation.
He's in New York. Him and his girlfriend, Black Cat, who the listeners might remember from episode 16.
No, they don't remember. They were high as shit.
Intro to the Pfister Hotel investigation. The Black Cat, Dave and the Black Cat are in New York at a organic Whole Foods
convention?
big consortium convention.
Wait, in New York, the least place
in
to
New
think
York,
of organic
yeah.
anything, like the no land.
That's where he is.
That
But don't
makes
fret,
sense.
guys. Joe, Oscar, do not fret. I did interview Dave on his way to the airport. Because this episode, the majority of this episode is going to be our recap of our experiences at the Pfister Hotel, episodes 16 and 17. Joe and Dave had some profound experiences at the Pfister, and I wanted to make sure and get Dave's take before he went to New York, so I actually did get to interview him over the phone. We'll hear that interview later in this episode to see exactly what Dave thought after all was said and done of his experiences at the Pfister Hotel. So I guess, guys, without further ado, let's just tear into basically episodes 16 and 17, our experiences at the Haunted Pfister Hotel in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I would guess I would have to say at the end of the day I was a little bit disappointed. I was expecting a lot more activity that I would have been able to see, feel, experience, which didn't really happen for me. Joe, you and Dave, had some pretty profound experiences, and we'll talk about those. But I think for myself, overall, not as haunted as the internet likes to say it is.
My two favorite memorable moments.
Yeah, what were they?
Guido Pfister and the Bloody Pfister.
There it is. Oscar, could we cut that out?
No.
It's a Bloody Mary in the morning. They call that the Bloody Pfister.
Look
yes.
at me not cutting that out.
They did. So for me, it was nice staying there. I could finally, check it off my list. I did stay at, Notoriously Haunted Hotel. That would be my second one, I guess. Well, third, technically, the Drake. I was also there, and I was also at the Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana. Let me try that again. At the Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana. One of the most haunted bed and breakfast, former plantation. One of the most haunted bed and breakfasts supposedly in the world. So my third haunted hotel that I stayed at, a little disappointed. Oscar,
well,
you were there, you were recording, you were walking the halls with us, you slept in the room with us.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the Pfister Hotel?
I think it's a lovely hotel. That's... But otherwise, if I'm comparing it to the experiences I've had in other places we've been to in or without the show presence, like in years past, I would say it is not disappointing because no place has ever given me any experience whatsoever. So I guess I'm normal on it. Right? I didn't feel anything, didn't see anything, didn't really expect to either because knowing my track record. And honestly, in a way, thank God, because I don't want to experience kind of thing. If I don't because it doesn't sound like fun. but also not very cool because I would like to see something. But it was fine. I mean, it was okay. It was a fun time with you guys. Otherwise,
It was. It was fun. And Oscar, that you made a good point. Maybe a lot of listeners don't realize that you have gone into some really haunted places with us.
I would sneak into cemeteries by
been
myself or with you guys all the time.
Yeah, haunted bars and cemeteries and you name it. You've been there with us, and you've never had anything that made you say, okay, I'm a true believer.
Right. No, and I am. I am a believer because I know of stuff like, the bottles flying at the Red Lion and all that. But I didn't.
That's right. Well, we're going to save that for another episode. That's a great point.
Right. Well, a little teaser trailer for our show, I guess. But it isn't, I never personally have ever experienced anything. Like, that's clearly through you guys or that's clearly through something else. Like, I was like a periphery. Did I even see it? I don't remember. I don't remember. Anyway, and so it's very minimal to nothing.
Now, you were in the hotel room at the Pfister with us when the chain on the door was rattling.
I was not.
You weren't there for that? You had
left
the room?
remember?
Okay,
because I said, of course, when I leave the room, something happens.
Oh, the cooler. You were the cooler.
I'm the
right,
cooler, yeah.
Right. So, listeners, you could check out this video. It's on our YouTube channel, Supernatural Occurrence Studies on YouTube. Basically, people had left the room. It was about 5 to 8 minutes after, I forgot who it was, Dave, and maybe yourself, Oscar, left the room. Door closed, chain was hanging, air conditioner was off. It wasn't running at the time. Joe, were you in the room for this? No,
yeah.
Right? You were. Okay, you did see it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it was me, you, and Cat, Black Cat. So door closed. It was about 5 to 8 minutes after they left. Again, I think it was Dave and Oscar who left the room. Air conditioning was off. We were just sitting there, kind of off record. We were just kind of talking, not recording. And all of a sudden, that chain, the door chain, started rattling.
Yeah,
it started
just shaking, kind of twirling,
twitching. No, it was more twitching,
like a rattle, kind of like rocking back and
like
forth.
A pendulum almost, right?
Yeah, but it was like rocking like and forth, like a circular kind of.
Got it. A pendulum on speed. Got it.
Yeah, but it wasn't that profound.
It wasn't that much, but.
And we watched it for a while.
For like 4 minutes.
Yeah, we watched it for a while before I decided to grab my phone, and because it kept going, I'm like, this has got to stop soon. I mean, and it didn't. So I grabbed my phone, and I probably recorded about a minute on my phone. So it was probably in total moving for about 5 minutes, right? Yeah, that's what I would say. So, listeners, you could check out that quick video on our YouTube channel, Supernatural Occurrence Studies on YouTube. Let us know what you think. Write us at submissions@sos-radio.com.
Yeah, whenever anybody would come in, it would, rattle
move
for a little bit, but only
stop.
for like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Not that long.
If that, right. And it would stop. This was about 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes, like you said. So I thought that was pretty strange, Of course, you guys had some feelings, Joe, you and Dave, coming out of some sort of energy coming out of the bedroom closet.
Well, it was a pretty strong day, I guess, because it started off at the fireside.
Right, the restaurant in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
And I think that took a lot out of me and Dave, where we were already tired to begin with, because the energy, when you feel it and you take it in, you're also it's eating your energy. So it's like we were like half charged when we got there.
When you got to the Pfister,
yeah, it wasn't as crazy as I thought, or I didn't have that amount of experiences. But, there was 2 very strong places in there. Within the first hour, we did witness something. I saw the orb in the window, and then all of a sudden, we felt it.
Not in the window, it was in the mirror.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was by the window. But we saw it in the mirror. I saw the black orb in the mirror, and then all of a sudden, Dave and me started feeling it.
You guys got hit right after that.
And we're like, whoa. So, it did hit right away. Then it went away, and then we did our walk around. And my strongest experience was in that ballroom. And listening back to the episodes now, every time that me and Dave would feel something or about to, our Taz cams would go, and they go crazy.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that because I had people write the show and mention that because I was listening, because we always listen to the episodes so we could recap them. When I was listening to the episode 16, Dave's, and then when 17 came out, listened to your walkthrough, Joe, That's right. I was thinking every time you and Dave say it's here, it's strong. At one point, Dave has video. I didn't post it, but Dave has video of tears just pouring down his cheeks. At the exact same time, the Tascam, the recorder you guys were doing your investigations with, would go haywire.
And that's great that we could see that afterward, so it's almost a confirmation.
Yeah, because we couldn't tell, or you guys couldn't tell when you were recording. So people actually wrote their website and said, did you notice when Dave and Joe would say these things, your recording device, your recorder would go nuts? And
after I heard that, I couldn't wait to listen.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
and it sounded kind of just like what you did. It was this high-pitched squeal, static, and then you guys would say, oh, it's not here anymore. I don't feel any longer. And then the Tascam would level out. You were clear again. So the stuff is electrical in nature. It's energy interfering with the recording equipment. I personally have no doubt. What do you think of that, Oscar?
I think that
Being the recording guy,
I did notice that too. I think we talked about it. When did we talk about it that night? It was very strange. I think I might have heard some playback on Dave's.
Well, Dave thought he caught that scream.
Also, no. What about that?
No,
growl
that was something
when
else.
Oscar was in
We
the other room.
didn't get to that yet. We'll get to that. Yeah.
Did we ever find out what
It
that
did
was?
not. It didn't pick up on the recording device.
No,
Pick
I
up on
really
the
tried
mics?
to even up it, increase it in that
Increase
one
the
area.
levels?
I went through it. I couldn't hear it. Maybe like a little whiff, but not enough for you guys to suffer through like bad audio for nothing essentially. So yeah, but I couldn't hear it. But what you guys said. Anyway, we're not talking about that right now. Anyway,
We'll talk about that.
We're talking about the Tascam, how it warped or warbled when they mentioned that it was there. I did notice it, and it's funny because I don't know, like it's just so strange how it can work on a dime when it seems like supernatural energy works in its very patient pace, but it can like turn on a dime if that is a trigger, like if you're mentioning it,
or if it knows, it senses somebody who could sense it.
Right.
I like Dave's.
Then it almost attacks.
Like Dave's theory, it's just. I mean, I always felt it too. It's it knows who knows, and it runs to you. But I like the way Dave said it. It's like going into a forest with animals with treats. You start handing out treats, and they start running to you.
Yeah,
we're the treat. I mean, it knows, so it just automatically comes to us.
Yeah, and Dave did.
You do look like a candy corn.
When I mentioned when I was interviewing Dave for this episode to get his take on the Pfister, he talks about that, how the energy in the Pfister seemed to know when you guys, someone who knows, was around, and then it would come and hit.
Hit and go.
And then it would run. And so when he was talking about this hitting and running...
it's ding-dong ditching the Tascam.
Ding-dong ditching Joe, Dave, and the Tascams, exactly. When he was talking about this coming and going of the energy at the Pfister, he compared it to a dog. So my very next question was... or my next statement was, one of the popular rumors about the Pfister Hotel is of a phantom dog that runs the hallways. I said, Dave, do you feel, and you use the word yourself, dog, do you feel that maybe this lends some credence to that theory, that legend that there's a dog running the hallway? And he didn't buy it. He's like, no, I don't buy it. And you guys will hear his take on it, but I thought that was really interesting.
I've noticed it's always been like that. It comes and goes and comes and goes. But I kind of feel like since I think what me and Dave have, it's very strong, and if we were maybe like a quarter of what we are, maybe it might stay around. But I think we're a little bit more powerful than that entity or that spirit, that energy. So then it kind of runs away a little bit. That's kind of the vibe I've been getting lately.
Yeah, and I mean that's. I don't want to spin out of control here because we do have a Mr. Lincoln report to do. Yeah. You've had some profound things going on the past 2 weeks. Yeah. We'll get to that. So why don't we... Okay, so... Right.
And almost like a mosquito or like a vampire, boom, take a little and then runs.
Yeah.
And
the vampire being's taking what? Your energy.
Our energy.
And that's when you get burnt.
Mm-hmm. Because that's how they charge.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. So during your walkthrough, Joe, listeners could hear it in episode 17, you did run into a worker as they were doing some closing duties.
Yep.
He had a few interesting things to say.
Well, basically, he confirmed, what we were talking about, which was cool.
What about the elevator?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel anything by the elevator at all.
Yeah. Oh, no, I mean the worker. The worker mentioned about the guy leaving an umbrella. They ran the umbrella back to the guy. He, just walked in. The elevator doors were still open, and there's nobody there.
All right, so...
And that was the elevator in the old section of the building.
Like, going into it, I didn't know. I didn't want to know. Same thing with Dave. But some of the feelings where I got, I didn't realize... Like, because basically there's a certain section of the hotel where Peninsula is kind of out.
Do you remember what floor that was?
I think there was one of them where I really felt it. I think it was like the 4th floor, and then there's one the ballroom. I think it was like Louis the 15th or something.
14th.
Louis the 14th.
14th. I want to say 14th. Yeah.
Whatever it was. I mean, that was the strong. Like that was like the heart of it.
Yeah, I remember you very much mentioned that on your recording when you went out by yourself.
When Dave went, there was people in there. When I went, there wasn't.
Yeah, the remnants of the party. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Dave actually interviewed some of those people, right?
Yeah. So that's why. I mean,
no, he didn't. He like passed them
or
by.
ran into somebody.
He ran into somebody in the hallway
that
was there through the convention, part of the party, but she wasn't at the party. I think.
Got it.
Yeah.
Later on, when we walked around, I mean, not even talking the Taz cams after the show, we all walked around. And we did feel something above, right on the floor, right below our room, right below. And I didn't know that's where Dave felt something before, too.
Right,
so
yeah, and that's the other nice thing about going back and listening to both of them back to back, is you could, and listeners could, see the coincidences between what you and Dave felt. And you guys were out there on your own at different times.
Well, and not knowing, the history of the hotel, I really didn't know there was the other section of that hotel, the big one. And for that wall, there's a place where I really felt something.
Now, when you say wall...
Not a wall of energy, but like an actual brick wall, because it peninsula it out, and you got like these two like hotel rooms, and there's just a wall just blocking. You can't go any further. That's the end of the hotel.
Right.
I didn't realize that on the other side of that wall is the new addition of the Pfister.
Yeah, it was built in the 60s, I believe.
Maybe there's that energy because whenever you do construction or build, it pisses things off. Otherwise, or
it changes that flow of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Anything else profound on your walkthrough that you could recall for the listeners who might not have heard it? On Tazcam?
Something I did like is I was talking about the different feels, like kind of different time era feels. That on that second floor with the red carpet, where like some of the baseball players would stay, that is such an old feel. The energy is there, but it's not as strong.
What do you mean old feel? Like
it's musty?
No, you could actually
get
feel
off my lawn
that old
deal?
energy. Like
okay.
I could tell the difference between new and old.
But
and I would assume that the older, the more the stronger. But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes the newer is the stronger.
Yeah, there's no set rule.
Like a wild child.
There's no set rule to this. It's not science.
Is it an instinct?
All you know is what your gut tells you.
What
this gift that you have tells you.
There was the second floor. I didn't get that strong feeling like, oh my God, it's here right now. I knew there was a lot of things around, a lot of energy, but it was such like a stale, old energy that it just... The one thing I feel about the hotel I could say is it never stops. It's in constant circulation. It's just a big flow.
Which kind of reminds me, my favorite part, I think, of the Pfister stay was the next morning when we got up. We checked out in a rush because we slept super late because we were up to like 5 in the morning. Yeah. The sun was up. We finally went to bed. Got up, ran out of the hotel room, packed everything up, and we ran into... I'm not going to say his name. He did not want us to say his name because Pfister is a no ghost policy, a strict no ghost policy. Listeners could listen to episode 16 and 17.
Let's just say he was a very important player at that hotel.
Yes, 30-year veteran to the hotel, very important
he totally
player,
owns it.
A VIP. I was convinced. Remember, I said when we were talking to him, I'm waiting for you to tell us, like, surprise, Willy Wonka, I own the joint or something. But
surprise, there's a ghost under my hat.
Yeah, it's a strict no ghost policy. That night, I tried talking to security. Security was completely tight-lipped. The Cincinnati Reds were in town. They were staying at the hotel with us. Security was even more tight. So we couldn't get anything from hotel staff, really, except for the guy you ran into, Joe. So bravo on that. But the next morning, I think, for me, was the most profound experience with this 30-year VIP that is working at the hotel. He took us on a tour of the hotel. He was extremely eloquent, highly educated gentleman, and he proceeded to say that there are no ghosts at the Pfister. I made up that story about 25 years ago. Yeah. In the very next breath, he told us the Pfister is full of energy.
He told us without telling.
Right. So my whole point is people are comfortable calling it ghosts. People are comfortable calling it spirits. People are comfortable calling it angels, demons, energy.
He indirectly
It's one
told
word
us.
for the other, right? So in a way, he confirmed it to us, and it was really. Go ahead.
No, he couldn't tell us, especially with people.
He
being
couldn't use the
around
word
it.
ghost.
Yeah,
But he said it was full of energy.
Yeah, he indirectly told us.
Yes.
And you could see it in his eyes that we got the answers that we wanted.
Right, exactly.
And he knew that, he knew we got it, and we knew that, it's like, thank you.
Yeah, we understood each other. And the way he said, if you look at this filigree that was hand carved on this wall, 100 and I want to say 25 years ago, listeners, don't kill me if I'm wrong on the exact length. But he's like,
kill him, please.
If you run your hand over this filigree, you're actually touching the artist's hand that carved this 125 years
And put
ago.
the energy into it.
Yeah, and put the
energy.
energy, and you're actually interacting. And that was word. You're interacting with that person's energy. It's everywhere in this hotel.
Mood, mind, feel.
Mood,
everything.
mind, feel. Yeah, and that I think was the most profound for me.
So are you saying I should stop using blood as a paint for my walls?
No more bloodletting.
Okay, damn.
I want to just backtrack a little bit to the previous night at the Pfister. We did do the Ouija board while Dave was out of the hotel room. I was in the room sitting right next to you and Black Cat, Joe and Black Cat. Oscar was in the other bedroom, with the crazy closet. And nothing crazy happened with the... I just said crazy closet, nothing crazy happened.
Crazy.
Sorry, guys.
So,
nothing
insane, right?
Nothing insane happened with the Ouija board. However, during that Ouija board session, it was quiet, and all of a sudden we heard what sounded like it was coming from Oscar's bedroom, this gagging sound, choking, gagging sound. And I thought he was sending freaky pictures to his girlfriend, but he assures me he wasn't. It wasn't him. He didn't hear the sound. But the three of us heard
It was like
it.
a choke. It was
Yeah. And the first thing you said when you got into that hotel room when we checked in, Joe, was what? With that closet. Didn't you say that you felt someone hung themselves in that closet?
Well, basically,
Or was that Dave? I thought that was you.
After I saw that black orb in that mirror, and we started feeling stuff, then it went away. But then me and Dave walked in that room and we're like, "Whoa, it's in that closet."
So who's one that said they feel that someone hung themselves?
I think. I mean, it was me. But I don't know.
Choking sound.
I don't remember saying
And
that.
you got
but because I remember listening to the video, but I don't remember saying that.
Yeah, then it might have been Dave who said it, but someone made it a point to say they feel like someone hung themselves in the closet, which is why Dave wanted to run the Tascam in the closet when he went to sleep.
Yeah,
he felt someone
maybe I
died
said
there.
it and forgot.
Yeah, that's okay.
No, we just agreed to put it up front. Remember?
Do you remember, Oscar?
Yeah.
That someone did say that?
Yeah.
Do you remember who it was?
Joe. Not Dave.
It was Dave. Okay. That's fine.
Okay.
But the three of us, Joe, Black
But
Cat,
I don't know, sometimes he says
and
things and I
myself.
think he's joking. But he did say it. I don't know.
Yeah, he did
like,
say it.
He has that, that kind of dry humor.
Yeah, well, that comedian.
I mean, all
comes
I know
out.
is it was definitely in the closet. It
Yeah.
was in the room and it was in the closet.
Well, I guess the
for
point I'm trying to
sure.
make, for me, it was ironic. The
Right.
three of us heard the choke, sounded like a choke, a gag, and Dave had mentioned that someone hung them. He thinks someone hung themselves in the closet, but didn't pick it up on audio.
And I had my headphones in, like with a podcast probably, and was on Facebook waiting for you guys to finish, so I didn't hear.
Yeah, because you don't
anything.
play with the Ouija board. You didn't want to be in the same room.
Right.
So,
Oscar don't
but
play with
unfortunately for the listeners, the mics did not pick up that sound. So maybe they'll believe us, maybe they won't.
One thing I want to say about Ouija boards.
Go.
I still do not believe in them. Okay.
Okay.
But the one thing with Ouija boards is the only time something worked with them was outside that Ouija board, not with the Ouija board itself, but in the room. And forget the Ouija board. Even if you're just talking about something and you're trying to, it knows, it hears, and it wants to be seen. So if people are talking about it, it's going to try to do things to let you know that it's there. And the few times that, we actually did see or hear something, it was never with the board. Yeah, it might have moved a little bit. I'm a little skeptical about that, but we always heard something or saw something. Right?
Yeah. That's safe to say. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing too profound with the Ouija board.
Right.
The sound bowl, Joe. We opened episode 16 not with the regular...
the singing bowl.
Not the singing bowl, is that what it is? Oh, I said sound bowl, sorry. Singing bowl. We opened up episode 16 not with the typical SOS-radio podcast intro, the static and the songs, and sounds like someone's...
Just call it the intro.
Someone's flipping through panicked radio stations. We didn't do that. We opened up with the sound bowl. Why did we do that, Joe?
Basically, to set the vibration and, let it know,
Opening up.
we're here. Our mind.
Okay.
We want to be, all right. I just got it, and I didn't know too much about it.
Wasn't it that night you got, or that day or something, or the day before?
I got it the day before.
Oh.
There's a little bit more to that I'll talk about later.
Okay, in the Lincoln
report.
report.
We didn't really know what it was. It was just supposed to open you up to energy and just like the calm and we're like, hey, let's try it to see if it could bring on some spirits.
Okay.
But
and so we did that to open the whole Pfister encounter, and then you and Dave had some pretty profound experiences walking through. So
and I'll say later.
Irony.
Some sort of.
I found out actually what that particular one was because they come in different sizes, and I had an experience, and then after that experience, I asked my friend, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's for this," and I was like, "Holy fuck!" So we'll talk about that later.
There it is. That is.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's it. Okay, and then one more thing I think to talk about. Second day in the morning after we talked to this hotel VIP, we ran into a worker, a female, in the elevator. Do you remember this, Joe? I'm having a hard time.
It's safe to say she's a photographer. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And she takes photos there occasionally.
Like portraits?
Maybe a lot more than not.
Yeah. Again, we have to be careful because of the no ghost policy. But there too, another worker at the hotel. We just happened to be riding in the elevator with her. She overheard us talking about ghosts and investigating the Pfister. She's like, "Wait, what did you say?" And we're like, "Oh man, are we gonna get in trouble here?" And she's like, "It's true. The place is haunted."
She even said she has orbs, energies in some of the photos
that she's taking there on occasion, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was cool too.
Very nice lady.
Yeah. Tried to talk to the doormen in the morning. They were completely standoffish, would not talk to me. So, that clandestine era that the Pfister has was continuing once again the second day. They won't talk about anything, all about privacy at that hotel. So, I guess, Joe, any final thoughts on the Pfister and your experiences there?
It's haunted.
There you go, folks. Oscar?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure it is haunted. I do believe it. So, just didn't feel anything. And that just kind of sucks, I will admit. Especially for this show, since we're talking about this stuff.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm in a movie podcast. Didn't see the movie, though, but hey, thanks for coming.
Oscar, one day I hope you see a girl's head spin around her shoulders and spit green pea soup.
Well, that's very
just
specific. Why does it...
Exorcist.
No,
I want to say something, but you're going to edit it out.
You know me. All right.
No one eats pea soup anymore, man. That's
so
the crucifix.
Yeah, we'll let the listeners watch The Exorcist for the crucifix part. So I guess without further ado, let us cue up Dave Black's interview with me on his feelings about the Pfister Hotel.
This call is now being recorded.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with the one and only Mr. Dave Black, Supernatural Occurrence Studies co-founder and clairsensitive.
Dave, how you doing?
Doing all right. Just on my way to New York.
That's right. Dave's heading out to New York. I wanted to make sure he wasn't here to sit with us for this podcast, this recap episode of the Pfister Hotel, but it was very important that I get his take on our experiences at the Pfister, because I think out of all of us, he had probably the most profound encounters while at the hotel. I figured he'd have a lot to say, so I wanted to make sure and include him in this episode. So, Dave, without further ado, what did you think of our experiences at the Pfister Hotel? What's your overall impression?
Well, I'll say it's certainly not the craziest place I've ever been. It's not the craziest stuff I've ever felt, but it's definitely, I'd say, like, overall, on the 1 to 10 scale of, like, 1, nothing at all, and 10 being, like, crazy stuff happening every 5 seconds, it's around 7.5 or an 8. There's definitely an energy there. It doesn't necessarily, because there's 3 basic energies that I kind of have figured out. There's the obvious energy from a person that died. Like, there's an obvious difference between that and just kind of the living energy of camaraderie happening in the place, like a buzz.
Now, to you, how does that feel different? To explain it to the listeners, how could you tell the difference as a clairsensitive?
Well, it's hard to explain. And then there's the other one, which is just kind of like the stationary, like, weird spot in a room or a floor or whatever. It's hard to explain because there's really nothing to compare it to.
Right.
But there's definitely a difference between, say, walking into a theater that's just had, that's 100 years old, and people have sat there and watched shows and movies and gone through, joy and pain and sadness and fear and all these different emotions, and you can kind of just feel this crackling buzz throughout the whole room of this energy that just kind of hangs there.
Right. Now, that's not from a dead person, obviously.
No. It's just like walking into a room full of static,
Right.
If you think about it, I'm going to try and describe it in a way that I guess kind of makes sense. You think about it as like a smell. You ever walk into like a Forever yogurt shop or like an ice cream shop, and they pump that like sweet smell into the air to like make it smell nicer, appetizing or whatever?
To entice you into buying? Yeah, sure.
That's kind of what it feels like when you walk into a room that's just got that kind of like living energy buzz. That's sort of what it is. It's kind of the equivalent of just the entire room is filled with this fragrance of life, if you will.
Okay.
Then there's the stinky garbage can, if you will, of like, you're like, what? I kind of smell something from across the room. I can't really tell what it is. And as you get closer, you're like, there it is. There's a dead fish head in that garbage can. Like, that's like the weird spot on the floor. And then there's just like, there's kind of like a wafting, like, smell of like a sewer pipe that like belches up a smell every once in a while or whatever. Or a real gassy person just walking around or whatever. And
right.
Just like you catch it in whiffs every once in a while. It's not constant. You can't really put a finger on it where it's coming from, but you just every once in a while you catch it. And those are kind of like the 3 different like varieties of energy you're gonna feel. Obviously the kind of buzz one is the most positive in the way I explained it. But I'm not really equating the different feelings to the, good or bad smells necessarily.
Well, that was going to be my next question. When you related it to rotting fish heads in the garbage, I equate that with something bad. something to avoid.
Or we can say it's the pine tree air freshener, or the Glade plug-in, or
Right. Okay. Okay. Good.
A nice fragrant batch of freshly picked raspberries sitting on the counter. Whatever.
There you go.
But the thing is that there's three distinct, separate things that you're going to feel in a haunting if you can experience and if you can feel it. And it's the kind of the stationary spot, the buzz, and the floater, I call it, is the one that kind of moves around. And the floater, I believe, is the ones that come from people that have passed away. The floater is, for lack of a better word, the entity or a quote-unquote ghost, to the best definition of an actual thing that exists that I can describe it as.
Okay.
But I believe that there's the energy, which is just kind of the crackling buzz of a living place that's got stuff going on in it. There's the floater of the person that passed away that you're feeling the energy of. And then there's just kind of the garbage can of like just this weird spot that just has like there's just something happened there, and it's just kind of carries that impression. And I feel like in a couple of spots in the hotel, I felt like I was getting in touch with a floater. Like obviously it's an old hotel, people have died there at some point. Like place that's been around for over 100 years, like definitely people have died there.
Oh, absolutely.
So that, I mean, there's definitely that kind of energy there. But I didn't feel, except for that one spot, I was on the landing of the main stairs between floor 5 and 4, and that's where I got the most intense feeling. And I sent you videos of that. I don't know if there's any way, if you uploaded those to the site or whatever.
I did, and I'm working on getting them on YouTube. Are those the ones you're referring to when you literally had tears pouring down your cheeks and everything?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that was pretty intense video.
Yeah,
now,
that was
when you were.
That was the time that I definitely felt it, like, coming for me. Like, that was definitely something that had once been living that was coming after me. Like, that was not just the weird buzz. It wasn't a weird spot on the floor. It was definitely something that was there. It was following me. It was coming at me.
Did it have a positive or negative feel to it? Do you remember?
Not necessarily. Not really either way. It didn't feel. It didn't scare me. It didn't feel ominous in any way or evil, if you will. It just felt like it was curious or what have you.
Now,
or maybe it. Like I feel like the stuff. It probably just bounces around all the time, trying to connect with a living person, either to feed off their energy or just because it's something familiar to it. And I feel like most people don't feel it. So when it catches the inkling that somebody is feeling it, it gets all excited,
So yeah, here comes this receptor walking down this hall. And
right, it would be like you're at a party and there's a dog or a cat at the party, and
there it is.
And the dog or the cat finds the one person in the room that loves dogs and cats that everyone ignores it. Everyone doesn't pay attention to the cat as it's walking through the crowd. And then there's that one person oh, hey there, kitty. And then the cat all of a sudden is oh, somebody's paying attention to me, so I'm going to pay attention to them.
And I think we can all relate to having that experience.
Yeah.
And here is where I need to pause you, because you said it, you used the word dog or cat yourself. One of the more predominant stories at the Pfister is of a phantom dog running up and down the hallways throughout the entire hotel, old section and new. Here you are in podcast episode 16, the intro to the Pfister, the first half of the Pfister episode, talking about these floaters, the hills. They come at you, they go away, they chase you, they run away. Would you say that could possibly have been this phantom animal that people swear runs the halls of the Pfister.
No, I mean, that story sounds kind of silly because there would be no connotation to that. Like, I doubt there was any point in the hotel's history where they had dogs running around in the hotel. That doesn't make any sense. Unless they had like a dog hotel for a weekend for whatever reason.
Or someone, a guest brought an animal who passed away. Who knows? 100 years, right? Anything could have happened.
Some of the artwork downstairs featured hunting dogs, so maybe that there's some connection there. But you know, like you hear all these stories and stuff, and especially in the internet age, I really don't put too much stock in the in the stories because everyone makes assumptions as to like, oh, the ghost is of old man Skippy, and he's just checking to see if his old place is doing well. Like, I don't really buy into all the hubbub and the stories and stuff, just because I feel like in the internet age, like, I mean, on Facebook all day long, I'm arguing with people that literally believe in complete nonsense that takes like 2 seconds to Google to show that it's not true.
Sure.
And in the greater scheme of things, I feel like, especially in the internet age, that these stories just get blown out of proportion, and like I haven't heard any specific firsthand accounts. Like when I was reading the reviews from people on the travel sites and stuff about the Congress Hotel, like that seemed like real firsthand accounts, like people really describing experiences. It wasn't like, oh, I heard from a guy who heard from a guy who saw a guy that said, it was people saying, I was there and I didn't know anything about this and something crazy happened. And I was actually able to contact the one guy that had the crazy story about the bathroom door rattling, and he swore it was true, and like he...
Oh, so you did wind up talking to that person?
Yeah, well, because
interesting. I didn't know that.
He posted the comment through Facebook, so it was attached to his Facebook profile, and I was able to message him directly, and he did get back to me, and he's like, yeah, it was, pretty crazy, and I told him about, the podcast and stuff. I haven't heard from him since. I was trying to maybe get him to come on the show or whatever, but I haven't heard.
That would be awesome, and of course, audience, the episode Dave's referring to with the Congress Hotel is episode 15, SOS-Radio podcast, episode 15, where we talked about cursed hotels. So that's really cool. I didn't know he contacted you. But yeah, the old Simpsons purple monkey dishwasher. One person says it to somebody. As it goes down the line, the whole story gets bastardized. Who knows what's truth from fiction? I just thought it was really interesting that here is this legend, and then the way you're describing the energy, and then using the word dog to describe the energy, it was begging the question to be asked. I just wanted your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of always described it in dog terms, because for the most part, dogs, like, we can't really communicate with dogs. I mean, you can give dogs commands and stuff, but in the realm of like seeing a stray dog on the street or at a friend's house or whatever, you talk to the dog, not thinking the dog's going to understand you, but in talking to it, you're kind of giving it the right body language and the right vibe of what you're trying to say to the dog. So it's like when I describe when you're in a haunted place and you feel a strong presence and you talk to it like in the sense of like, oh, I'm not here to bother you or hurt you or, ruin your place, or I'm not trying to like invade your territory. Like, you talk to it in the way you would talk to a strange dog. Like if you're walking, you're cutting through an alley to take a shortcut to your favorite bar and you see a dog, sitting by a dumpster, you're not going to like, you're going to probably be like, oh, hey there, buddy, and just passing through the alley here, don't mind me. Maybe I'll bring you back a piece of a hamburger later. You just try to like it's almost like you're talking to it to put yourself at ease, but in putting yourself at ease, you're also putting the dog at ease, because you're calming yourself down and you're putting off, instead of a vibe of fear or anger or whatever, you're putting off a vibe of like, oh, I'm just passing through. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm not.
Right. So you don't get bit or attacked.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. So
that's kind of the same when I feel when I am getting, I guess, attacked by an energy, a floater, if you will. I oftentimes will. I mean, I used to do it more, like I would literally talk to it, when we started, but now it's more kind of an internalized thing of where it doesn't really hear me. It doesn't have ears. It's not like, so I just kind of think that way of like, I'm not here to bother you. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to cause
or does it hear? Does it think? I mean, that's part of the whole mystery in this. Is it just a free floating blob of energy that doesn't really do anything, or could it think? Could it react to you? I don't know. The more and more, the older I get, and the more experiences I have, the less I think of it in a conscious, like, being intelligent. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it could. I feel like it could react to certain things. I feel it's like kind of like a jellyfish, It's an organism. It's alive. It's a thing that reacts to danger or reacts to food, but doesn't really have intelligence. I mean, it's existed for millions of years, but does that mean it's intelligent? Jellyfish don't have brains. They just kind of exist. They just are.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to like determine whether or not something has intelligence just because it's reacting in a certain way to stimulus,
Right. Well, let's continue. I know you're on the way to the airport. We're recording this via our Google Voice SOS line, 872-5290-SOS. I want to get you on your way, but I do want to delve a little bit more into this energy that you and Joe Erie were experiencing, because after both episodes were out and they were live on the net, I had a few people write the website. One of them was a gentleman by the name of Vince. Hey, Vince. And mentioned, in so many words, we're listening to the episode, and we noticed that every time Joe or Dave mention during their walkthrough that they're encountering the energy, that the energy is there, it's strong, holy crap, it's on me. Like when you're having that profound experience on landing, the Tascam, the recorder you guys were using, would go haywire at that moment, emit this loud screech, get very staticky, and then as soon as you guys would say, okay, it's gone, or you would walk away, the Tascam levels, it would level out, you'd be clear again. And I was thinking the same thing as I listened to the episode, and then I had these people write the website and confirm what I was thinking. I thought that was pretty weird.
You did mention that to me. But when I listened to it, I didn't really hear any difference. But then again, I was listening through my phone, and I got to turn my volume way up in my car to be able to hear it. So
yeah, check it out. It's ironic. Every time you guys say it, I would say 95% of the time when you guys said it was there, that piece of equipment reacted. Whether it was reacting to the energy or something else, I don't know, but it was strange nonetheless.
Well, there is a physical energy there. There is something physically there that we're feeling, and I feel like, if you were rubbing a balloon on your head at the time you were talking, the static electricity would probably have a similar reaction to the equipment, or if you were walking under high tension lines or whatever, or any other energy field, if you were standing in front of a microwave that was turned on, it'd probably have a similar reaction. So I think that there is something to do with, now that I think of it, which is not something I thought of before, but this kind of makes sense, is those rolling hills I was feeling of energy, like where it was kind of like these beams of energy that were going through the building, or I would even call them bars or rays of energy, because they kind of like felt like if you were to just put a bunch of dividers into a hallway, and each one of those dividers was, think of like one of those little like toolboxes that you put like screws and nuts in, and you have little dividers to like split them up. Yeah. So you don't get things mixed up. It kind of feels like somebody just took like one of those and put it through the whole building of just energy in certain spots in that hallway. And, or if even like you could just imagine somebody sticking a sword through a cardboard box, you know?
Yeah.
And now that I think of it, might possibly that energy correlating to those spots in the hallways have something to do with the wiring or the plumbing in the building or something that the energy is being attracted to or kind of gathering around, like maybe you know, like a main power source or something. Does that make sense?
I don't know. Yeah, it does make sense, and you know, unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever know. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's possible to get like maybe some sort of schematics for the building or something like that, or figure out where. I mean, I would
definitely love to research that. The Pfister, unfortunately, is so tight-lipped about anything and everything that has to do with this stuff. I don't see how outsiders could go in there and talk to facilities or whatever, a facilities manager, and grab floor plans. They're just so hush-hush about everything.
Especially if you're like, I'm trying to find out where your main power sources and plumbing but
yeah, in the world of terrorism.
My name is Ahmed, and...
right, we'd be put on a no-fly list, and you're not getting on the door.
But we still people to buy guns, so it's cool.
So we wrapped up the episode that night. It was about 4:30 in the morning. Your girlfriend, Kat Black, was already asleep when we recorded the second episode. Someone wrote, asked what happened to Kat. She was sleeping. Went to bed, no incident. Overnight, we actually put a recorder into that closet that was in question, which was in the room you slept in, Dave, you and Kat. Put a recorder there too. Oscar Spector listened to the footage from the closet, didn't pick up anything. Wake up in the morning, it was rush to get out of the room, so we weren't charged. We decided to do a little bit more investigating, and that's when you and Kat came across a gentleman, 30-year veteran, to the hotel. He asked that we not give his name because he doesn't want to get, reprimanded or in trouble for talking to us. Again, Pfister, super tight-lipped about, anything paranormal, no ghost policy. But we did wind up having and it specifically, he said, in his own words, he said there are no ghosts there, that he pretty much made the story up for some sort of story or something like that, and advertising a magazine or whatever, like 20-something years ago. Right. But then he went on to talk about how the building has this living energy and that people feel it. And was saying a lot of things that eerily matched up to things that I've been saying, in kind of the same vein of explanation, even. Absolutely, he did. So in one breath, he's saying absolutely no ghosts. He made it up. In the very next breath, he's telling us vehemently, in an eloquent way, how much living energy there is in the hotel. So it's like, people feel comfortable calling it a ghost, spirits, angels, demons, living energy. So he wasn't using the word ghost, but he was adamant there was living energy throughout this hotel. Right. I thought that was pretty cool. So we had this 30-year veteran confirming, yes, there is an energy here. Of course there's an energy here. You could run your hand over, lattice work that was, carved 120 whatever years ago, and you're actually touching the hand of the artist who carved that lattice work 100 and whatever years ago. Really interesting way to look at the history of his hotel.
Yeah. Yeah, he was very insightful. Very cool guy.
Yeah, and he did say he would be a guest on the show one day, as long as we used a pseudonym. So I hope to revisit this gentleman in the future on the SOS-Radio podcast. I think he could add a lot of insight to some of the stories that are circulating out there about the Pfister Hotel. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think? Think that might be worthwhile?
I think so. I definitely think we should check out that restaurant, too, that we were at before the Pfister.
the Fireside in Kenosha, Wisconsin, definitely. Yeah, I mean, when you come back from your trip, I think that might be the next podcast. I'll try to line that up.
That'd be pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, be very safe on your trip to New York. I appreciate you taking the time and lending us some of your thoughts on the Pfister episodes. And any final thoughts?
I think that's about it. It's definitely got some energy going on. There's definitely, it's definitely haunted. I don't know if any of the crazy stories are true, but, we definitely confirmed that it is indeed haunted. It does indeed have energy. But I don't think there's anything nefarious or scary about it. And I don't even think that it's all that much different than, a dozen other places that I've been to. I wouldn't say that it's the most haunted place I've ever been. I wouldn't say it was the lamest non-haunted place I've ever been, but it's up there. It's in the top 50.
Nice.
But I'm gonna say that yes, indeed it is haunted. But I think that's about as far as we get in getting any kind of confirmation or anything out of it. Like, I don't feel like if we went back and had more equipment and did more video and more audio, like, that it would make a difference. I just don't think the place is as active as the internet makes it out to be.
Understood. Well said. Yeah, and one thing Joe Erie did mention, he's like, I think we're searching too hard for it. Why don't we just sit back in the room and see if it comes to us? So I think I would agree with you that going back with bigger guns just might not produce much at all.
Yeah, I also think Joe's just scared to go out on his own because he's
Yes, we are going to discuss that later on in this episode. I'm going to see what his deal is, what he was afraid of. Well, very good, sir. Thank you very much for the time, and have a safe trip, man.
All right, later.
We're back. That was I Kill Spies by Agent Orange, one of my favorite old school punk bands. Joe, you ever hear Agent Orange?
Long time
back
ago.
in the day?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, back in those skateboard days.
I'm more of a CIA director, Tangerine kind of fan.
Love that song, I Kill Spies. The next one coming up is going to be another Agent Orange song. I'll surprise you guys with that one. But that was my interview with Dave Black. He had some pretty profound insight onto what's going on at the Pfister. More logical, as Dave tends to be, more scientific, if you will. I particularly enjoyed the way he described ghostly encounters to different smells, smelling the yogurt shop, auto pumped in smells to entice the appetite versus a fish head rotting in a garbage can and maybe an aerosol pine car hanger smeller thing. I like the way he could always make these analogies, kind of break it down for the everyday person. So I don't know, listeners, what do you think? After hearing all of our takes on the Pfister, Oscar's, myself, Joe Erie's, and now Dave Black's insight, what do you think? Let us know. Write us. Submissions at sos-radio.com. You can text us.
We're needy, clingy people.
We are. We need to
Please.
know. Text us at 872-5290-SOS. Let us know on Facebook, SOS-radio on Facebook. Let us know your thoughts. And I think with that, we could bring the Pfister to a close, guys. I do want to get into the Mr. Lincoln report.
Although, real quick, if you want to, this episode and the last two where we spend most of the time with all Pfister stuff, you want to play a fun drinking game. Every time we say Pfister, take a shot. That's it.
There you go. I'd be drunk by like 10 minutes in, I think. I want to segue to the Mr. Lincoln report. That's the recap of paranormal experiences we as individuals might have had over the past 2 weeks since the last airing of our podcast. I'll make it quick because Joe, yours is pretty awesome. Mine, the saga continues here at my new home. We've had doors that were locked, unlocking overnight, motion detecting lights going off on their own when no one's there, lights and fans going on when no one turned them on.
What if they're the borrowers?
The borrowers?
Yeah.
Like the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the book.
Yeah.
Or the Toy Story type deal, like the toys are just like
well, Lord knows there's
having
enough toys around
adventures.
here. But it's getting to the point where you guys know I'm an OCD person. Before we were, getting ready to record this podcast, Joe's anxious to get going. Oscar's like, come on, we got to record. And I'm picking up crumbs off the floor. I'm very OCD when it comes to my home. So I know what I do in my house. I know what people do in my house. I know what I lock and don't lock, turn on and don't turn on.
He knows when to say, get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn, you damn kids. So it's bothering me and Katie now. It's coming to the point where, okay, what is this?
I saw 2 things today.
Just today. Joe, what did you see here?
I saw a black orb in the kitchen. Actually, first, I saw the shadow by your garage.
The garage and this office
in
door.
between the garage
the
and
hallway
office.
here.
It's
in
right
the hallway.
there. Yeah, in the hallway. And then I saw the black orb in the kitchen.
So I don't know what this is, folks. I've talked about it on past podcasts. I spoke to the previous homeowner. We kept pretty good friends after the sale. It was a very nice sale, very good experience.
It's not bad. It's not
and
a
I
bad
asked
thing
him
at all.
straight out. I said, hey, once the sale was done, of course, I said, hey, has anything strange ever happened around this house? And the husband kind of looked at me, kind of head cocked like a puppy, like, what? And his wife's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, things moving on their own, lights coming on when they
Next
shouldn't.
time you should ask before you buy.
Yeah,
Just gonna put that out there now.
I should have brought Joe or Dave here before we bought. But
There you go.
and they
Hey,
said,
our new business.
well, yeah, haunted
There you go.
haunted home hunting.
SOS property
I'll
management.
let you know if you
SOS
should buy it or
property
not.
management. I like it.
There
Hey,
we go. Well,
listeners, you want Joe or Dave to come along with you to make sure you're not buying, or maybe you want to buy a haunted home? Contact us. We can work that out.
Or if you're haunted and you want them get rid of them, just hire me and they'll go away.
The cooler,
Trust me.
So they looked at me, asked what I meant. I explained to them. They said, no, nothing here. And the sale was over. They have nothing to hide. Said nothing weird here has ever happened. The house was built in like 95.
Yeah, those bodies came with the house.
What was the land before?
And see, that's the thing. Half of this town where I'm at,
Indian, right?
it was a lot of fields, farms, I'm sure.
I think
especially right here by
a lot of Indian.
I think 300 years ago,
Native
the
American.
Revenants happened right around here.
not the Indian.
Right,
the
a lot of Native
Indians.
American, absolutely.
Thank
We
you
have
very
a
much.
lot of Native American named towns where I live. So they said nothing happened while they were living here. They built the home. I'm the second homeowner. So Talia my daughter, Talia Nhyte, is starting to talk to something named Jen. I don't know if she's goofing around. I'm going to try to get her on the next podcast to kind of open up to me about it. But she started talking to something named Jen. Now, I had a childhood imaginary friend when I was about her age named the Macaroni Lady. The Macaroni Lady would tell me to do crazy, weird things around the house, just get into mischief.
Like, get rid of all the pasta.
Dude, I mean, oh, God. We'll get my mom here one day. She'll tell you this stuff the Macaroni Lady said, told me to do. But, Joe Erie, you said you had an imaginary friend, correct?
I always felt things when I was little.
It's his lawyer now.
But my best friend, as a little kid, he had an imaginary friend.
Oh, okay.
And one of my aunts, it was basically my mom's aunt. So it was a great aunt. We would always go to her house for Christmas, and she was the one that actually got us giving us stickers, Richard Crow stickers, and we're 4 or 5 years old,
That's awesome.
and we're all
I love
just
ghosts.
sit and listen to stories. But upstairs, her house was so haunted. There was that strong energy. You felt it, you knew it, and we always felt something in this hallway. And my friend Jeff, he would always point to on top of the hallway, right on the door, and he'd start talking to someone, and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm talking to my friend," and he had a name for him. And every time he would go there, he'd just be talking to it, and they're like, "Oh, this is creepy." They're kind of scared, The weird thing is, about 30 years later, her husband fell and laid there for a week. I don't know how he didn't die.
Same...
Like, luckily someone found him. I mean, he was probably like hours of death. But because she had Alzheimer's, so she didn't know what was going on. He fell and couldn't get up
in that freaky hallway.
Right in that hallway, right there. So, is there a weird coincidence? You know, I mean,
I don't know.
It's kind of how things happen.
Yeah.
Like, if in another example, always as a kid, my sister's bedroom, we always felt something in there, and we're like, man. It just there was something about the closet in the room. It was just there's a very strong presence in there, and why would we feel anything in there? Well, guess who's living there now? Who's sleeping there?
Who?
My grandpa. It's like how would we ever have known that? You know, my mom took him in to take care of him, but I mean, there's a good chance, you know, that's going to be his final place.
And then your grandfather has that connection with your son Joe, right? Where once in a great while that telepathy happens between the two. Interesting. But so that's my Mr. Lincoln report over the last 2 weeks. Oscar, just get out of the way. Anything paranormal?
I mean, some pretty cool movies, but that's it.
Okay. Joe, I want to segue into you because you had so much happen in the last 2 weeks. We can only I want to cover the picture in this episode.
Yep.
Okay. Folks, I want you right now, stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. Go to the sos-radio.com website, click on photo and video, and click on a photo called Uncle Ghost. Go to sos-radio.com, photos, videos, Uncle Ghost.
It's the sequel to Ghost Dad.
Stupid. So you need to see what Joe's about to explain to you. Unfortunately, in May, I believe it was, Joe, you lost your uncle, and I'm very sorry for that. But a photo was captured 2 weeks prior to his passing. Is that right?
Yep.
The photo was taken by an across-the-street neighbor. Could we say the town?
It's close to Franklin Park.
Close to Franklin Park, Illinois. Okay, so
is it Franklin Park?
2 weeks prior to Joe's uncle's passing, his uncle's across-the-street neighbor woke up in the morning. Correct me if I get off rail here. Woke up early in the morning, went downstairs, was looking out her front window.
You decided to have coffee, relax, and
was looking out her front window, looking towards your aunt and uncle's home, the uncle who would pass away, and something caught her eye. Why don't you take it from there?
Well, she noticed something on the house, and she's like, "It kind of looks funny. Is it the sun or?" So she let a couple minutes pass. The sun would move, the shades and light would move, but that image wouldn't move. She's like, "Oh, that's not the sun." But it struck her so odd that she decided to take a photo of it.
Thank God she did, because...
after like several minutes of looking at it, it could disappear at any time. It's,
right, well, that in itself is pretty...
That's pretty cool.
Out there, that it lasted that long, that she's watching this thing.
I mean, it was so strong that she had to take a photo. I mean, how many times you look at something, you're like, man, I have to take a photo of this because this is crazy.
Right. I think the only time that really happened to me was at the Pfister with that chain moving, where I watched it for so long that I was able to see it.
Way to bring it back. I mean, another shot, guys.
Ingest
a lot of times things
and
happen.
Then go and take a photo of it. That was the only time for me.
You don't even think about recording or taking a photo sometimes.
Right.
You're like, whoa, and then it's over.
I don't.
And then it's over, right? You miss it. You miss that one in 1 millionth opportunity. It's gone. But for this woman, this across-the-street neighbor, it lasted, and she took the photo.
Yep.
Joe, I'm on sos-radio.com right now, photos, videos, Uncle Ghost. I'm looking at this thing. What the hell am I looking at here? Because I got to say, I have seen millions, hundreds of ghostly photos.
We could say thousands easily.
Yeah, probably thousands over the past 20 years, absolutely. A lot of that we've taken ourselves. And I got to say, I don't think I've seen anything as in your face, as blatant as what I'm looking at right now. What am I seeing here, Joe?
All right, well, to finish the story, she took a photo. 2 weeks later, my uncle passed away. And a couple days later, maybe like a week or a couple days week, she showed the photo to my aunt, and she's like, this is weird. I want to show you something, and
So she didn't show it to your aunt right away.
No. And later on, my mom showed me the photo, and I was in awe. I was like, I've never seen anything like that. Well, in the daytime. Then that's another like strong point with this photo is in the daytime.
Yeah. Yep.
But
totally weird.
Me and my uncle, we had a lot in common. Just like beliefs, and we love to cook. The things that we talked about, like just like musics. He was just like kind of like us, like just like with we believed like a lot in like energies and like aliens and just the mind in different dimensions. And looking at this photo, I know the big square, you see that one massive image. It looks like it's talking to somebody coming out of the other window. But
I can see that.
If you see the two windows in front of the house, there's actually images in there.
It's almost like what would you say, all five? Because there's 5 windows on the side of the house where this thing is. It's almost as if
on 3 of, but the 3 of the windows that you could actually like see out, you could see like there's images inside, and my belief, like when I see that photo, there's energy or spirits inside the house, and the big one on the outside,
which the lady saw,
is communicating with something inside the house, because you see like a little beam coming back and forth.
You do.
And I think that they were going to take him, but it wasn't time yet. And 2 weeks later, then that was the time.
If people could picture the classic image of, to me, the first thing I saw was Grim Reaper.
Yeah. Okay.
If people, right, Oscar?
I would say so.
That's the first thing I saw. Now, I'll get to what other people see in a moment, but the first thing that came to my mind was, that's the goddamn Grim Reaper. Only, this is gray. Grim Reaper is classic black, right, with a sickle. It's shrouded. It's hooded. It looks like it's wearing a cloak. The body even comes down to a point, like a classic phantom.
Exactly, it's like your traditional picture.
Picture.
There's always truth and like stereotypes and truth in everything. It's like there's a reason why things came to be.
Oh, like why images of phantoms or images of Grim Reaper look like the way we know them in pop culture. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what this looks like to me. Now, other people, your grandmother, my mother.
But
okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but when we say like Grim Reaper, that doesn't mean that's a bad thing,
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
I just wanted to...
Joe, put that out there. What does that mean? What do you mean by that? Because if someone says Grim Reaper, instantly...
Right away, it's not like an evil or bad thing. It's just, that's something coming to take you on to the next realm.
It's time. Yeah. Right. It's doing its job.
Doesn't it mean like change in tarot readings?
Grim Reaper is change. Yeah, isn't it eminent? Well, it could be two things in tarot.
But death, the card death doesn't always mean negative. It means
all right, there is no Grim Reaper in tarot. It's death.
It's death.
Correct.
Yeah, but he has a knife.
Yes, and it means death or change.
Change, like a change in life, not like the death is something else or something new.
We died. This vessel that we walk around in, our bodies, is gone.
Basically,
energy is released. There's the change, right?
What I believe is we go on to the next stage. This is our physical life. We move on to that non-physical.
Incredible. I'm getting the chills right now. So, other people that see this photo claim to see an older woman, possibly holding maybe a bouquet of flowers. I know my mother, Sue Nhyte, asked me instantly, and I texted you last night about it, Joe, is his mother still alive? Because I feel that is the uncle's mother coming to usher him into the other side.
But you didn't ask. You said that your mom said.
Oh, right.
That it looked
correct.
Like, it's like your mom said it's
his
mother.
Right. You're right. You're right.
And I asked Mike, I'm like, wow, that's weird that she said that, because how would she know that she passed?
Because your uncle was young. So,
and she wasn't the only person that said that.
The world knows, right? So there it is. I mean, it's got me kind of speechless. I've never seen anything like this.
You're talking just fine.
Well, it's just one of those photos, 1 in a million shot, that she caught here. What was your aunt's reaction to this, Joe? Your uncle's wife. What did she say about? Now,
I did not talk to her about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's kind of a hard conversation to have. I understand that. So, folks, check it out. Photos, videos on the sos-radio.com website called Uncle Ghost. And it tells the story there. And write us. Let us know what you see in here. Submissions at sos-radio.com.
Uncle Buck, eat your heart out.
There you go. Joe, any final thoughts on this photo?
No. I guess I could say one more thing, though.
Please. Yeah.
So, yes, then.
I mean, this is a kind of more of a touchy subject because it is my uncle, and I kind of, just didn't want to bring a lot of stuff up, or even kind of expose that, But at his ceremony, because he wound up getting cremated, my cousin was talking and saying everything about him, and the my cousins, my aunt, they're all around listening, and I was in the funeral home, and I saw all this beveled air around him. Just swirling
around the urn.
No, around my family.
Oh wow.
Yeah, his immediate family, like my cousins and my aunt, and it was so strong that it's just circling them and all just hovering all around them, just movement just around them.
Now, do you think that was your uncle, or was that the collective sadness and emotion from your family that you saw?
I thought of two different things. I mean, at first, I just right away I'm like, oh man, that's my uncle. Just being there with him, and then I thought, I'm like, well, okay, we are in a funeral home. I mean, how much energy is in here? But what I really do think it was him, because it was just hovering around them, so that's a little bit more of that story I never told you. Yeah, every once in a while, I do see the beveled air, strongly.
Right, you've talked about that quite a few times.
Yeah, I saw that.
We'll be back right after this.
Sweet.
I was going to play another Agent Orange song, Bloodstains, but in lieu of Agent Orange, we decided to play Breathe by Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd was Joe's uncle's favorite band, and he loved Pink Floyd. So
a little tribute before the end.
Yeah, it's just the first CD he ever gave me was a Pink Floyd CD, or
nice.
Or a recording to introduce me to music when I was younger.
And here you are, the musician you are
Pink
today.
Floyd.
Awesome. So yeah, that was dedicated to your Uncle Joe. Breathe.
No, Uncle John.
No, to your Uncle Joe.
Oh yeah.
Your uncle, Joe.
Right.
Oh, thanks.
Sorry, I ruined the mood there. I
That's
apologize.
okay.
Breathe, Pink Floyd. I think that's a wrap for today, guys. That was a good show. Any final thoughts?
No, man, good.
Folks, make sure and check out Oscar's other podcast, Everything is Opinionated, on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud for movie reviews,
Right. That's
television show reviews, video games, books, all the above.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me, now that you mentioned that, the next show, we're doing our top 5 movies of the year so far, because it's 6 months into the year, and we'll talk about our top 5 most anticipated movies for the rest of the year. So.
Sounds good, man. I'm going to check that out.
Yep.
Everything's Opinionated.
Thank you.
Make sure and listen on iTunes and give us some ratings, feedback on iTunes.
Ratings are great for
radio.
the algorithms that podcasts get heard. Like they jump on people's on the genres of the choosing. They jump on the top 10 of a podcast. What's new and hot gets other people to listen to us. Therefore, more people to give us feedback and increase this show into a critical darling. I hope.
Excellent. Thank you, Oscar. As always, you can catch us on Facebook, SOS-Radio. Find us on Instagram, Chicago Ghosts. And Joe, take us home.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to the SOS-Radio podcast. Be sure to rate us on iTunes and Google Play Music. Download our free mobile app by searching Supernatural Occurrence Studies on Google Play, Apple App Store, and Amazon App Store. Visit us online at sos-radio.com for pictures, videos, a member-only forum, and other exclusive content. We can also be found at SOS-Radio on Facebook, Chicago Ghosts on Instagram, and Chicago Ghosts on Twitter, Chicago's own Supernatural Occurrence Studies on YouTube, Jason Nhyte on Google+, that's Nhyte, N-H-Y-T-E. Email us at submissions@sos-radio.com and call or text anytime at 872-529-0SOS. That's 872-529-0767.
And as always, kind listeners, keep your head up, eyes open, and question everything.
Want to save your soul from hell, riding on our range. Cowboy, change your ways today. Oh. With us you will ride the devil's herd.
Joe?
I shut mine off.
Yeah, or silent or whatever. Do that.
Yummy, yummy, yummy. I got Oscar in my tummy. It makes me good on time.
And then diarrhea.
Because you're Mexican.
Yeah, no,
Mexican food
Oscar,
tears up my stomach.
Are you in a fitness?
What?
Are you in a fitness?
I'm not going to answer you.
I am.
Well, you mind fitting this in your mouth?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oscar.
Yep, that's why I said no. That's why I said no.
Oscar.
Why is everyone mentioning my name right now?
Because it's so yummy. Everything
Why?
about you is delicious.
Oh, God.
Scrumptious.
Kill me. Anyone can just kill me right now, please. Any sniper in the street.
Oscar, how much do you still love this podcast?
How much from like day one? Are you comparing
day one till now.
Well, the excitement is definitely like tempered off because anything new and exciting stops being new and exciting at some point. But it's fine. It's part of my routine.
It is part of my routine too.
What movie was that?
it.
Was that Home Alone?
But yeah, remember, I had been doing my podcast for like 2 years over this show, so it's like it's nothing new to me.
I just like getting us together.
Yeah,
talking about
remember we used to have
interesting
movie night?
Yeah.
Those were simpler times.
They were simpler times.
Yeah.
You had to do a lot less in those days.
I had to wake you up because you just kept
Yeah.
falling asleep like an
That's when I had a
old
job.
daddy 40.
That was
guy.
when I actually, yes.
You're still tired of shit today.
No, it was Scrooge.
But I'll tell you, Joe.
I think it was Scrooge. There was some guy named Oscar in there.
I'll tell you, my eyes,
You know, Joe, I can just cut you off.
they don't feel as beat as they usually do after holding. And we're going to talk about that. So,
Okay.
all right, you guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2,